So before we get too stuck into this, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm probably going to mispronounce Hazarai the entire time through this. Now we've got that out of the way, let's get stuck in. The Memory Man Hazarai is the digital version of a Memory Man pedal. That's actually a pretty significant deal because the Memory Man is regarded as like the iconic analog delay pedal. So why would you want a digital version of the most iconic analog delay pedal? There's a couple of advantages to digital. First of all, in my experience, pretty much every analog delay pedal that I've tried ends up cutting off the top end of your guitar signal. It's almost like it's got a low pass filter on and just cutting off that top end. A digital delay pedal, in my experience, doesn't seem to do that. There's advantages and disadvantages to that. I find an analog delay pedal kind of is much more atmospheric, much more vibey, and a much more warmer and kind of nicer sound. But at the same time, a digital pedal will be much more precise and a lot cleaner. This means if you're doing any sort of rhythmic delay, like dotted eighth sort of stuff, a digital delay pedal is probably going to be more appropriate for your needs. Now this is called the Hazarai, if I've said that right, because apparently Hazarai means with all the settings and all the features. And yeah, this definitely does have a bunch of features. One thing I want to sort of complain about is that with all the features that it has, they're basically just different settings for the delay. They're not so much different delay engines like what you see in a Strymon or a Source Audio sort of pedal. So they're just fancy delay options, but at the same time, if sort of rhythmic digital delay that you can set certain intervals for, if that's your jam, then yeah, this pedal probably has all those features that you're looking for. Another cool feature of this pedal is that it has a decay knob. Now what that setting does is it kind of adds a bit of diffusion to your repeats. So it kind of splashes out a bit like a reverb, a bit like a tape echo, and it just sort of adds some vibe and atmosphere to things. It's a little bit like running your delay pedal into a reverb, but not quite. It's really cool and you can definitely get some really fun sounds using that setting. Overall, there were just two deal breakers for me with this pedal. Deal breaker number one, it has tap tempo, which is very useful, but there was no way to sort of select which subdivision you want the delay to repeat on. If you're rhythmically challenged like me, that can be a bit of an issue. I'm not somebody that can pull out a dotted eighth note out of the air, so yes, having a subdivision switch is actually a big deal for somebody like me. Secondly, it would have been really awesome if this had an effects loop. That way I could run a reverb pedal into the effects loop so I can run my delay into my reverb, or I could have thrown a chorus pedal in or something cool like that. Just gives you a lot more options to create a lot more varied delay sounds rather than just an exact repeated echo. That being said, if neither of those things are a deal breaker to you, this is a really fantastic pedal. It sounds really good. It's really easy to use, except the subdivision thing. And what goes in is exactly what comes out. If you're into rhythmic sort of delays, this should definitely be at the top of your list.